What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Whop Media YouTube channel. My name is Sean Bernard as usual, and I'm excited to announce that for this video, we have partnered with Whop.com, WHOP.com. Whop is an all-in-one marketplace for sports communities and other digital products. If you're looking to find communities on all things sports, sports capping, sports betting, and sports fandom, head to Whop.com/sports. They're the all-in-one digital marketplace, the Amazon of the future for digital products. I'm incredibly proud and excited to be partnering, so make sure to go check that out. You can click the link in our description and our comments. Thank you to Whop for sponsoring this video, and thank you to you guys for tuning in.
The swing of his life! Hoskins answers. Kyle Schwarber tees off. Out comes Castellanos. He lays out and makes the catch.
What is going on, everybody? We're back for another New Year's episode of the Double Switch podcast. New year, new bullpen piece. Same old Phillies, though, for the most part. And we're hoping this season's a lot like last season. Johnny, what's going on, man? You got any cool New Year's resolutions?
No super cool New Year's resolutions, but I'm happy, excited for 2023 and see where the podcast takes us going into the Phillies' second season. I think that's going to be some exciting stuff. Now we got our feet wet.
Yeah, we're going on 1 year now with the Double Switch podcast. It's been quite the year for Phillies fans across the world. Just an awesome year, and this offseason, dude, it seems every episode we cover the stuff we did and we discuss, and we're prepared to just have no news for a while. But Dombrowski keeps bringing us news. Latest piece here, Gregory Soto. That was a name that you kind of brought up. I don't want to give you too much credit, but you were on the Soto bandwagon pretty early. I think it was last trade deadline. You brought up his name, and you always liked him. So how do you feel about the trade?
Like you said, we knew it was a guy that kind of fit our bullpen needs in the summer. I won't take all credit, but I think Dave Dombrowski sees my tweets, but I really like it. I feel like it's going to make a really good 1-2 punch having him and Sir Anthony Dominguez in the 8th and 9th innings. I think it gives you more flexibility with how we can use Jose Alvarado. We can use him in like earlier game situations that are also important. But obviously sad to see some of the daycare depart. We've really grown to love those guys, and we don't have a ton of homegrown talent. So, yeah, it's sad to see Maton Vierling headed to Detroit.
Yeah, so Soto, just a brief summary here. 100 miles an hour from the left side. He throws harder than every lefty reliever in baseball, with the exception of Jose Alvarado, which is pretty wild. I saw a stat that the Phils have, in terms of lefty relievers, Soto and Alvarado have like 81% of like the hardest pitches thrown last year, which is insane when you think about that. That's like a majority of the velocity that you can get from lefties is sitting down there in a bullpen. Doesn't strike out as many people as you think. It's a little weird looking at it for someone who throws 100 with a nasty slider. Doesn't strike out a ton of people. Control is an issue, as it always tends to be with relievers who throw gas. He shares a lot of similarities with Jose Alvarado, but at the end of the day, he's kind of working with more here because, Alvarado, this past season, this is kind of, this is it for Alvarado. This is the best we've ever seen him. First time he ever put it together. Soto hasn't really even put it together yet, and he's already a two-time All-Star who had 30 saves last year. He's already a big name, and I'm sure he's coming in with the intention of us figuring out the problems that he's had. Do you think that they see a template with Jose Alvarado, something that we can just transform Gregory Soto in kind of the same way? Do you think that's the plan here?
Absolutely. The minute you look at it, like they're coming in such similar situations. Alvarado had fastball command problems when we traded for him from Tampa Bay, right? Yeah, his fastball command was all over the place, and his sinker was probably his best pitch. And the Phillies were able to make his fastball command wonderful and his slider a great number 2 pitch. And I think they're going to do exactly the same thing with Soto, try to fix that command a little bit.
Yeah, and if they can do it with Jose Alvarado, kind of makes you think they can do it with anybody. So
yeah,
we'll
they
see.
clearly know what they're doing in this situation.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do with him. Like you said, the package going back was a pretty sentimental one. A bunch of names that are somewhat popular in Philadelphia. Matt Vierling's probably the headliner, I think, if you're the Tigers. I think you're most excited about Matt Vierling. He's probably going to get a shot at third base from what I'm seeing, which is pretty interesting.
Who?
Both hit Vierling and Maton, both of them. I saw the Tigers GM said they're both going to get a shot at third base.
Wow.
So maybe one of them is going to have a starting job next year, which is obviously more than they had here. So it's a good trade for them, if you ask me.
Yeah, we didn't really want to see them just sit on the bench all the time. Like they never were really going to be able to figure themselves out in that role that they were in. And it's kind of bittersweet, but it would be cool to see them become successful players with the Tigers.
Yeah, definitely. So are you at all worried about the kind of culture thing we got going here? Because you hear the stories of Matt Vierling being the ultimate clubhouse guy, and you hear the stories of Nick Maton like howling in the showers. Seems like some good glue guys that we gave up. Are you ever concerned about that when making trades in like baseball and stuff?
Always. Yeah, that was definitely my biggest thought. Like the minute it happened, I was like, we just started creating a culture, and those guys were going to be a big part of it going forward as the young guys. But I think we have enough character in that clubhouse that they should continue succeeding and functioning as clubhouse.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of too, because you look at those two guys, what they kind of bring to the table, Matt Vierling and Nick Maton. Sosa and Guthrie can pretty much do the same thing. One might argue that both can do it better defensively, and you're not really relying on your bench bats to be big impact players, especially the younger guys. We weren't really counting on them for huge pinch hit plate appearances. You know, it's pretty incredible that that's kind of all it took, because Soto, like I said, 2-time All-Star, one of the biggest, lefty relievers in baseball. It's kind of a situation where I thought we would have to give up a top prospect. The moment I saw it, I immediately thought, McGarry type prospect, top 6, 7 prospect. And to give up a couple bench bats who didn't have a clear path. And at the end of the day, I mean, what's their ceilings? MLB starters, below average starters? I'd be utterly shocked if either of them turn into superstars. So, I mean, just to give extra pieces and get someone who might pick up big outs in the playoffs, that's the caliber Soto is. It's remarkable, and I didn't see it coming.
No, I knew that a trade was probably up Dombrowski's sleeve, but I didn't think it would be of this caliber. I thought it would be for definitely a younger up and coming type player, but this was a big move. Got an established guy, another one in there, and now you can almost say it's a loaded bullpen.
Do you remember who you wanted to give up to get him in the seat during the season?
I think I had one of McGarry or Rojas in the deal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly who I thought about. I don't know. I don't know how he pulled that off, but props to him.
Might be those Detroit connections that are still help. Oh, actually, I saw that the one of the Phillies' new scouts was the assistant GM for Detroit, which probably helped out a lot.
Yeah, just to have somebody kind of like a middleman acting, letting you know what's going on. Some other pieces involved in that, Donnie Sands, who, didn't really know much about him, and you have 2 really good catchers ahead of him. So good for him. He gets he might get that backup spot in Detroit. So it makes sense for him. He's an extra piece for us. We have just a wealth of catching depth, which is crazy because we still have Marchand, which people forget about.
Yeah.
So that position's set for a long time. And we bring back Cody Clemens, who is it Cody Clemens? Did I get that right?
Yep.
Second
Roger
base.
Clemens' son.
Roger Clemens' son. Second baseman. I think he can play a couple positions. He's probably going to compete for that last bench spot, right?
Yeah. Yep. It seems like it. I think he can play corner, outfield, and second base.
That works for me. I mean, depth at the end of the day.
No, it's a good player.
It's a nice guy to have. You want that competition in spring, but at the end of the day, dude, this bullpen, I can't tell you the last time I saw a bullpen with this much talent, just pure talent. It's a bullpen that is insanely flexible with what you can do here because we have 4 guys who can close. We have 3 lefties who can get anybody out. I mean, we have 3 lefties that can get Juan Soto out on call. We have righties that can neutralize the middle of the Braves lineup. We have middle relievers who could probably be back in relievers in most bullpens. And then on top of that, we have guys down on the farm with major league experience who throw like 100. I mean, Sam Coonrod isn't even on the radar anymore.
It slipped my mind.
Yeah, he throws 100, and he's like the 10th guy in this bullpen. Nick Nelson, who I don't think is very good, but last year his stats were all right in mop-up duty. You have Griff McGarry. You have the newest guy we just traded for with the Giants, Munoz, who also throws 100 with a wipeout slider, like the best stuff in the Pacific Coast League. When you look at teams that really, really just carve up October, just like last year, look at this Astros team. You got that starter out of the game, and you didn't stand a chance because they throw 4 or 5 guys at you who can close and who can get anybody out, and it shortens the game. And it's something that World Series winning teams always have. It feels like always, and we have it now, don't we?
We do. It's good to see that the front office was watching the World Series like the fan base was, because they went out and they built a team like the team that they couldn't beat. So you can't ask for much more from a fan's point of view. We have a buzzsaw now going. If we want to be a playoff team, teams are looking at us a lot differently going into this year than they were last year. We seem to be vulnerable with pitching and defense, but you don't hear those talks anymore.
No, it's the depth that we've never really seen here in Philadelphia.
Never.
And we have it now, and it's wonderful. So let's pretend for a second that you're Rob Thompson. What's your game plan with this bullpen? Because there's so many pieces, there's so many names, there's so many closers. A typical game. Let's pretend this is a super important game, late September. How do you use this bullpen?
I guess
I have an idea too, so I'll go through my idea after you.
Yeah, I'd probably say if we're going from 6th to 9th inning, that type of thing, I would probably go with the 6th inning be like one of the Bilotti, Brogdon, one of those 2, and then maybe like a Craig Kimbrell or a Matt Strom in the 7th, and then I think you have Dominguez, Sir Anthony, and now we have I already forgot his name, Gregory Soto. Yeah, and I really think just the trio of Soto, Alvarado, and Dominguez could be played around the 8th and 9th inning, however you want it to be.
Okay, I hear you there. So
I don't see Kimbrell in the mix, if that's what you're going to point out here.
That's what I'm going to get at. So the best pitcher in this bullpen is still probably Sir Anthony, right? Or he's probably the best pitcher in the bullpen, right?
Yeah, pure stuff wise, I would say so.
Yeah. So if I have a lead here, I think I'm using Sir Anthony and Alvarado in the most important point in the game. Who I use out of those 2 depends on who's up. If we are facing the heart of the Braves lineup with, Acuna, Riley coming up, I'm going to Sir Anthony. This can be in the 6th. This can be in the 7th. This can be in the 8th. And if it's if you have Juan Soto coming up, or Shohei Ohtani, or just name a big lefty, I'm going to Jose Alvarado. I feel very comfortable about both of them coming in with runners on base. I think that Alvarado, we know, can do it, and I think Sir Anthony is just a bundle of potential waiting to be unleashed. So that's how I'd use those two. Bellotti and Brogdon, first pitchers out of the bullpen after we take out a starter. And then I know you're not going to like this. You've been very vocal about this, but I'm playing that ninth inning with Soto and Kimbrel, depending on who's hitting. I'm using the lefty if there's lefties coming up, and I'm using the righty if there's righties coming up, because they both have the most closing experience. Kimbrel, we're going to debate this all year, I can already tell. He is awful if he's not closing. He's closed his whole life. I think he's too old to change. I think teams have tried it. The White Sox tried it, like I said, and it didn't work. And then Soto, I don't think he's ever not been a closer. I don't have the stats on that, but I know that he's closed predominantly for the Tigers in the past 2 years. So I think that they're just experienced and they're used to it. Being able to bring them in when it's always good matchups. Kimbrel usually gets played in whatever situation and throughout his career. They've thrown him out there no matter what. I think if we utilize him to his advantages in the ninth inning, with the middle of the Cardinals lineup coming up, I think that's a situation where it's clearly him. I think that might bring up better results from both of them than they've seen recently. And I can't imagine a situation where, you have some big righties coming up and you bring Craig Kimbrel in the seventh. I don't see it working ever. I feel like it's just going to frustrate the crap out of us if we try that.
Yeah. I like what you said there. And I think we learned a lot about Rob Thompson this year too. He knows the ninth inning is not always the most important inning of a game. That he made it very, very clear to everyone early on that he is not afraid to use his best pitcher in, say, like a sixth inning or a seventh inning. If it's like the meat of the order, runners on base, he'll bring in Sir Anthony or Jose Alvarado. And I think I'm going to kind of walk back my Kimbrel hate. And I think we will see Kimbrel in the ninth inning a lot more, because I think it'll give Thompson will be able to keep that flexibility of having Alvarado and Dominguez whenever he wants, now that he has a Kimbrel for the back end.
Yeah, so today's January 9th. If you were a betting man, who would you bet has the most saves at the end of the season?
Me betting man?
Yeah, if you were a betting man.
Oh, that's a real good question. I'm actually a fan of this question, because you could guess any of those four guys.
Let's bring this to Twitter after this episode.
Yeah, now we
Twitter
have
community
to.
says.
I'm gonna say Sir Anthony Dominguez ends the year with the most saves, and I'm not like 1,000% confident that responds. It was kind of a coin flip.
I think the answer to that question will say a lot about how the season goes. If it's Sir Anthony Dominguez, that means that we played a lot closer games than we thought, because I think that we're going to be a little cautious with Sir Anthony coming off the first season with Tommy John. I don't see him getting the workload that Kimbrel gets, and I think if I were a betting man, I think I'd go Kimbrel today. But I think it's going to be Kimbrel with maybe 12 to 15. I think Soto, Sir Anthony, and Alvarado all have between 6 and 10. I don't know if my
we
math
could be completely wrong.
right
Could
now.
be upside down.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Soto. The only one I'd be surprised about if it's Alvarado. I don't think it'll be Alvarado.
No, I don't think so. And it's also tough to predict, because all these guys don't have a great track record of longevity necessarily.
Yeah, injuries are a huge part of it. But that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And I don't know. He just has so many more tools now than he did last year. I'm looking forward to seeing how he manages it.
Yeah, no, it can only be a good thing. Just more competition in the bullpen.
Yeah. So other fallout from this trade. Brandon Marsh is probably the biggest winner, with the exception of Guthrie, who's probably got a bench spot now. Brandon Marsh, it looks like we're locked and loaded with him facing lefties with his 560 OPS. That's sounds scary, but I'm not as worried as you might think. Are you concerned that we're kind of putting all of our eggs in one basket with Brandon Marsh facing lefties all season?
No, I think it's something you have to do, especially after just seeing a bunch of his buddies get traded. This shows full confidence in Brandon Marsh's ability to hit righties and lefties and be an everyday elite center fielder. And yeah, I think they're buying into that idea. They're betting on him. I'm okay with that.
At a certain point, he has to figure it out. He has to grow up and figure it out. Another offseason with I forgot our hitting coach.
K-Long.
Yeah, K-Long. I think it'll work wonders for him. And you give up Logan O'Hoppe. People have said this a million times. I'm kind of getting sick of hearing it. But if you give up Logan O'Hoppe, who's just going to continue to rake, it feels like you really gotta put your stock in the guy you traded for. Brandon Marsh is the guy, and he will get every opportunity to be the guy until he proves that he's not the guy.
Yeah, and especially after letting Syndergaard and David Robertson go, are two of our deadline pickups, and we gave up Mickey Moniak and who else did we give up?
Man, my Phillies memory is just not happening right now. Moniak was for Thor.
It was the Ben Brown.
Oh yeah, Ben Brown.
So we gave up two pretty promising young players and didn't get anything in return for those. So it was good to see them commit to at least one guy we got via trade.
Yeah, I feel good about it. I'm not terribly concerned about it, and I think he'll be all right. But it does open the door here for another bat. You and I have both debated who that is. It's probably going to be an outfielder. It's probably going to be it's not going to be anybody crazy good. It's going to be a fringy outfielder to provide a little more experience, depth, and a somewhat, I don't want to say impact bat off the bench when Bryce comes back, but a bat that can play at times. Who do you see them filling out this roster with, and why do you think that's the way to go?
I personally, I know there's a common name that I think you're leaning towards, but I like Jurickson Profar here. I know he's a little bit more on like the better end of the spectrum, talent-wise, age-wise. He's only 29. Kind of a guy was supposed to be a superstar and had an injury, like a lingering shoulder injury. Seems like he's kind of just starting to figure it out, like a little bit more with the Padres and the Athletics the past 2 years. He's definitely still ascending as a player, has shown he can play both corner positions at a high level along with second base. I like his versatility a lot. I think the Phillies need to keep staying a versatile team because you let two guys in Maton and Veerling who could play a lot of positions go.
Yeah, effectively they could play all the positions, which is crazy out of some bench bats. But I do have some issues with Profar, mainly the fact that I don't know if he's going to be willing to come here if he doesn't see a guaranteed starting spot. We're going to be able to sell him with the money, but he's going to look at this roster and know that when Bryce Harper comes back, he's going to be riding the bench. And after starting for a while with the Padres, he might look at that and say, I don't really want to do that, especially when you have the New York Yankees up there who are in desperate need of a left fielder and a lefty left fielder at that. So it kind of feels like he's already a Yankee. Two, I don't know how well he can play center field, which I was kind of hoping for in another bench bat. I might be getting a little greedy, but it would be nice if he had a history of center field. I think he's played there, but I don't think he's played there enough to make you feel comfortable about it. And three, I don't know how much money he's going to want because I looked at some projections. He wants. I saw 3 years. I don't think we should give him 3 years if he wants that. And I saw between 8 and 10 million. That might have gone up since everybody else has signed and he's like the only guy left. Let's say he he says, all right, I don't need the third year, 2 years, 20 million. It doesn't sit well with me. I don't know if that's how I would want to spend 10 million, especially if he does want the 2 years. Next year is even more murky for him because you have healthy Bryce Harper. So he really doesn't look like he has an opportunity next year. In a perfect world, it fits. You can make it fit. You can kind of force him onto this team and it'll work while Bryce is down. But the roster crunch that's going to happen when Bryce gets healthy, I just don't think he's going to want to be a Philly at that point.
I definitely respect that criticism, and I do think it's a bit of a long shot, but I still think it's the best fit, and I think the only contract that would really work is like a 1 year, $12.5 million. Give him because he opted out of his 3 year, $21 million, 7 annually. So he's probably going to, you imagine, at least 10 to 12 million, if not more.
Do you think he'll take 1 year?
I think he would obviously prefer 3 years, but if he can get like $12+ million, then you make out with $5 more million in a year. That's simple math.
Another problem I had is Profar a switch hitter or just a lefty?
I think he actually. I thought he was a switch hitter, but is he one of those guys that stopped switch hitting?
I feel like when he was younger,
actually,
he switch
yeah,
hit.
I got his numbers up.
Yeah, let me know if he's a switch hitter because you did lose Matt Vierling as your fourth outfielder, and the idea was we could bring in somebody who kind of could do what Matt Vierling did in terms of complement Brandon Marsh and his lack of lefty hitting ability. I mean, if Profar's a lefty, he can't do that.
He's a switch hitter.
Oh, he is. Okay. No, that works then.
But no, the center field inability is definitely a big red flag with that signing.
Yeah, that moves us on to my signing, which is not gaining as much support from you as I thought it would. The rest of Phillies Nation seems to be on board. If you watched our offseason preview, I touched upon this. I threw 2 names out there. One of them signed today, AJ Pollock. I think he would have made a little sense, but he also can't play center field, so maybe not. The other name was Adam Duvall. He's a little old. I believe he's 36, 37. He is not going to hit for a lot of average, but he still has the pop that he kind of used to have, especially against Southpaws, where his OPS last season, 850, in the area of 850. He's a righty, so he's naturally going to hit lefties pretty well. And he can play all 3 outfield spots. Center field, he played very well last year. He's a former Gold Glover in the outfield. I don't remember what position he played when he won it. But I do know that he rates strongly at all 3 outfield positions and crushes lefties. And he's going to get a 1-year deal. I don't see him getting more than 6 to 7. I mean, coming off a 213 average where he was hurt all year, he shouldn't get more than that. That's probably even a stretch. I'd be more comfortable at like 1 year, $4 million. But he brings a lot of the stuff Matt Vierling did to the table. And, you know, I think they're kind of similar players in a way. He's obviously much older, but he hits the ball hard and he hits lefties particularly well. And he's pretty cheap. And he brings that World Series pedigree to the table. You know, he feels like a guy who really blends in a clubhouse, like really blends in, like you barely even notices he's there. I don't know if that's even a good thing or a bad thing, but he did win a World Series with the Braves, and I think that experience, it could only help, honestly, but he's a name.
Yeah, definitely not I'm not like heavily opposed to this. It's more just how much money is this guy getting? Because giving him like an excess amount of money feels really dumb, and giving him more than 1 year seems pretty dumb. Because yes, he has, from what I see, he's been steady defender his whole career, all 3 outfield positions, but the bat's definitely declining.
Yeah, the bat's rough.
I mean, I just happen when I think of a guy in our lineup or on our bench, I think of what are his worst stretches going to look like. And Adam Duvall's worst stretches are going to be a lot of striking out, like a ton of striking out, 35% rate for like the past 3 years. That bothers me because I wanted the Phillies to get rid of swing and miss in their lineup because they had a ton of it last year. And I think Adam Duvall kind of takes us the wrong direction with that.
Yeah, he fills a lot of the boxes. Unfortunately, couldn't tell you many guys available other than those two. Yeah,
Tommy Pham.
Oh, Tommy Pham. Yeah, I know Tommy Pham's out there. As any other names?
Not really, no. Unless they're like thinking like doing like a trade. I don't really see
Raimel Tapia, is he a free agent?
That'd be a weird one to do. I thought he got signed.
I don't know. Yeah, no, there's nothing left. If we're being completely honest,
it's bare bones. And they probably will sign Adam Duvall. If I had to guess right now, I'd say it's be a 1 year, $7 million deal.
Yeah, no. He feels like the most natural fit out of the 5 guys left. But we do anticipate one of those deals happening. And after that, I mean, we got to be done, right? No more surprises after that.
I can't imagine. Like, what else do they? Unless Dave Dombrowski's just bored and wants things to do, he doesn't have a lot of holes to fix. This is a good squad going into spring training.
It is. It's the best I've felt in a really long time about this team, about this depth, and testament to Dombrowski, man. When he wants something, he gets it, and he looked at this team and he watched it all, and he knew exactly where the problems were, and he's went out and fixed them. More than we even thought possible. He's surpassed my expectations for this offseason and for this roster, and just props to him.
Absolutely. Tip of the cap. And I don't even think our farm system's all that depleted like some are crying about now, that Dombrowski's in the process of depleting our farm system. Yes, we've lost Eric Miller, Logan O'Hoppe, Ben Brown. But other than that, I mean, he's been able to keep all his blue chip prospects, and can't be mad.
The thing about those 3, and I've actually started to think about it, even Maton and Vierling, those are players who were never highly touted. They weren't big name prospects. Those were players that we got the very most out of. And, once we capitalized and kind of figured everything out, we flipped them for pieces of value. And this is what good teams do. Those players we traded might be very good. But Matt Vierling was not a big prospect, and he came up and he showed flashes because he's worked with our player development teams. He's worked with our coaching staff, and he's kind of figuring himself out as a player, as are a lot of people in our system right now. Ben Brown is a perfect example of a player who was never a top prospect, who something clicked and, he started to put it together. That's what good teams do. They build from within and they trade wild cards, lottery tickets, whatever you want to call them, for actual value. And the names we still have are the top prospects, are the guys with the talent that we saw coming, the top prospects that we drafted high in the draft. I see the strategy here, and it's what good teams do. It's what the Dodgers have always done. It's what the Rays have always done. And I never thought we'd be one of these smart teams, but here we are in January, and we're looking like a smart team.
Yeah, it feels like just yesterday we were watching Ruben Amaro Jr. wait too long to get rid of valuable pieces that were clearly had a high value, and he let it go down for a year and a half, and then decides to trade players. We don't see that anymore at this front office. They know when someone's overachieved, and they sell it like it's fool's gold to other teams, and other teams might think they have gold. Maybe they do, but it's a risk they're willing to take. And I think we're both seeing that we have a smart front office right now.
Yeah, it took him a year or two to kind of get his pulse on this team, and the organization, but he has it now. He knows exactly what the city, what the team, what the organization needs, and he's checking the boxes, and he's setting up really well for not just this season, future seasons. I mean, Gregory Soto, 3 more years of Gregory Soto for bench pieces. I can't get over that. That's insane.
That's robbery, honestly. And I know a lot of people listening are probably are still viewing it in an emotional lens, but production for production, we won. We won by a lot. That's huge.
No, crazy stuff. But that's all I got. Real quick, I saw this stat. I saw two stats actually. Any guesses on who is the youngest player in our bullpen? Youngest pitcher out of those 7? Let's not go into the depth and stuff.
Connor Brogdon.
No. This was crazy. I did not expect this.
What's it like, Jose Alvarado or something?
Yeah, it's Jose Alvarado.
How old is he?
27. He's a couple months
So
younger
is
than
Soto.
Soto. I know,
Yeah.
but it feels like Alvarado is much older. I was shocked to see that. And Brogdon, I thought, was like 23.
No, I did know Brogdon was a little bit older though, because he did because some of those guys go to college, like do 4 years at college and stuff. But yeah, I guess Alvarado is just a massive human being.
Yeah,
It's tough to believe he's not like 40 years old.
He's been throwing two-seamers for like the past 10 years. It feels like I saw him in like 2014 with the Rays. But that's my first question. This should have been my trivia time, actually. Trivia time next week, same time. Do you think Soto replaces Alvarado? Is this a long-term thing?
I do.
Okay.
Well, I don't think they're gonna like necessarily let Alvarado go, but I think his role in the bullpen will fill Alvarado's, just in case he starts. I mean, he's a hard throwing guy. Maybe he starts to age.
Okay.
They're the same age. It's a tough one
Yeah,
to answer right there, Josh.
No, I think it might be some insurance just in case. But that was my first question. Second question: who throws the softest in the Phillies bullpen?
It's not Nick Nelson. That guy kind of pumps.
I'm not even counting him. I'm just doing the 7 projected right now. I don't know if he's projected.
Okay. I guess it's probably Bilotti.
It is Bilotti it's 94.2, which is gas, but
yeah,
it's soft nowadays.
That's crazy. The Phillies have really just. I mean, I remember we used to have just some, like Adam Morgan out of the bullpen throwing like 88 miles per hour.
Hobie Milner. Dude, the names go on and on.
I wish we never let
Sean
Jake
O'Sullivan.
I wish Jake Diekman never left though. Oh, remember that Brett Oberholzer?
Yeah, from the Astros. Yeah, no, the names go on and on. But yeah, Bilotti throws 94 now, and it's like the guy averaged 14 Ks per 9. Like it doesn't matter because he's that nasty. That's how deep and just nasty this bullpen is. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's got me fired up, and I might actually buy a bullpen jersey. I've considered it.
A bullpen jersey.
A jersey of a bullpen player, which I can say I've never done since Papelbon. Since Papelbon, I've quit that.
I think your best bet's probably Sir Anthony. I think I don't even know if you could get like a Gregory Soto jersey. Yeah, I don't know, or Brogdon jersey. I think Sir Anthony's your best bet there.
Yeah, get it. Yeah, I would pair well with my Ranger Suarez jersey.
There you go. All right, we're getting near 40 minutes. Got anything else?
All right. No, just shooting the shit now.
Alrighty. Fun episode. We will be back to talk to you guys. I don't even know. Next time news happens, we'll aim for.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a fun episode in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, hopefully stuff slows down so we could actually start, having some fun episodes and not just news episodes. But we will get back to you guys soon. And in the meantime, if you guys like the Sixers or the Eagles or college sports or anything, check out Pick Swap Media. They have some awesome stuff going on. Beef Up Front podcast, Pick Swap podcast, all kinds of good stuff. Definitely check them out in the meantime. And other than that, we will talk to you guys soon. Thank you for listening.
Go Phils.